everybody. Welcome to the St. Pete Soul podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Renew, local realtor and entrepreneur here in St. Pete. And as you know, I absolutely love St. Pete, and that's what this podcast is all about, is to celebrate our amazing community and small business. So today, I'm really excited to be in the space here at the studio, and we're in the Historic Kenwood district, and I'm here with the owner, Jeff Velazquez. Hi, nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for having me on your show today. I'm excited about today.
Yeah. So as I said, we're in the space. This is super cool. And I am going to shoot some video so we can see the taps and everything. But I wanted to sit down with you, Jeff, and just kind of go into your story a little bit and to share with everybody kind of what brought you here and what made you want to start the study.
Awesome. Yeah. I guess how I started was, I want to say about 6 or 7 years ago. I was living in the Northern California area around Napa, and around the UC Davis area was this wine bar. And I remember going on that date, and it was the most amazing date.
Okay.
Obviously, since I'm not with her, it wasn't her particularly,
it wasn't that good of a date.
It was the environment of it, and the environment. What I mean by that one was the machines that they had.
Very cool.
It was, I guess, best way to describe it was an interactive wine tasting bar, mm-hmm. where the average wine bar, when you go there, if they do tastings, they have a set menu of their tastings, and it might not be something you want or something that's you're craving at that time.
Yeah.
So when we went to this one, he introduced it as an interactive wine tasting bar, and I was like, well, what does that mean? And he explained how the concept worked of pouring your own wine. And the concept of it makes it less intimidating.
Yeah.
Less, I guess the term people will use, bouginess of it.
Yeah.
Right time. There's something where you go have a good time. On top of each wine, he had the region of it and the tasting notes of it. And then once you determined the type of wines you wanted, you simply just tapped your key card on the machine, put your glass underneath the spout, and you chose either the 1 ounce for tasting, half glass, which is 3 ounces, or 6 ounces for a full glass. And I remember me on that date, we had the best time ever because we were just looking at the wines, discussing it. She tried mine, I tried hers, so that and it became a very interactive wine date, as opposed to your classic date where you sit down, you're waiting for the server to get to you, trying to think of a conversation to go by, everything like that.
The natural awkwardness that
a lot of awkwardness in it. And then when you're ready to pay the check and these servers nowhere to be found and everything like that one, it just, this way it was just focusing on the dates right there. And that's what I wanted to do, was bring back date night for the average person. Unfortunately, when it comes to dating, the organic style is no longer relevant these days. Everything's through an app.
Yeah.
Swiping left, swiping right.
True.
Everything through that one. Or for the couple who's been together for so long, they're so used to going on a date to a restaurant where they're eating in front of each other with something they do every day to begin with. So it's nothing
nothing new really happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So I tried to design this to where design for the date night, nice, calm, relaxing environment, and not be intimidated by the different types of wine. So now you have people who have never tried different wines before, just try a little bit of 1 ounce of each one right there. Like I always tell every customer, try to avoid the 6 ounce pour as much as possible.
Yeah.
Reason for that being is the average person will, when they go to a wine bar, try maybe 1 or 2 glasses of the wine. Out of all the wine selection that they have, you don't really get the full experience of it.
Yeah.
Or if you go to a wine tasting, the average wine tasting will do maybe 6 tastings or 8, depending on the company right there. They'll have 50, 60 different wines to choose from. You still don't get to choose from all that. On this one, you get to pick and choose exactly what you want to try, something you never tried before or something that you're comfortable with. But the concept of it is to make you feel as comfortable as possible when you go into a wine bar.
Yeah. Love that.
So I decided, once I went to that wine bar, I enjoyed it so much, I went up to the owner and I asked him about the concept of it. I've never seen those type of apparatuses before. And if I could just pick his brain a little bit. And he was very welcoming. He said, absolutely. After a couple of weekends of coming in, asked me if I wanted to do an apprenticeship program,
Oh, that's cool.
and started working there more and more often. And then, fortunately, the gentleman ended up passing away during the apprenticeship program, and had to close down the shop. So I decided to move to Florida. The reason for that being was about 20 years ago, I moved my parents here to I guess, a suburb of here called Seminole.
Okay.
Uh,
So you were already somewhat familiar with
Very
this
familiar.
area. Yeah.
when I moved to Seminole, it was just pure retirement community, and the waves changed since today is almost unheard of.
Yeah.
Where I was realizing a couple of days ago, I'm like, we have rush hour traffic in Seminole, out of all places, of a retirement community,
Yeah.
and everything like that. So that's how much as the St. Pete area and the surrounding suburbs have uh, grown so fast.
Definitely.
Overnight and everything like that. So about after the passing, about 6 years or 5 or 6 years ago, I moved to be next to my family,
Mhm.
to make sure that they're taken care of and everything like that. One kind of gave up on the dream for a little bit. Guess I didn't know where to go after that one.
Yeah.
And I guess after a while, I was just like, wait a minute, I've always wanted to do this. What am I waiting for? So got with actually quite a few realtors. You wouldn't believe.
To try to find a space.
Trying to find a
Yeah.
space
It'd be
that was, unfortunately, because this was about a year ago, the competition out there, downtown was out of the question unless you had an abundance of money or corporate style and everything like that. When they're pushing out the small business like you wouldn't believe, it was just a shame. I literally got dumped by like 4 realtors. But I found one realtor who believed in it and said, all right, well, we can't get downtown. How about a little bit off the beaten path?
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit more difficult to get the clientele, but it's not impossible. I've always been that guy who just didn't want to give up.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I got to do it. So we found this one wine bar. Without getting too much into his personal life, he wasn't able to run this wine bar. It was called the Creative Grape.
Okay.
And he wasn't able to due to personal issues. So he passed it on. We're willing to sell it. Pass it on to me, and here I am now.
Okay, awesome. So then you kind of rebranded it into what your vision was.
Yes.
Now, were there taps here prior?
No.
Okay,
it was
so
just,
this is completely your vision.
completely rebranded. His style was more of a wine and bistro, and my style was more of the interactive wine tasting, where they get to try their own wines and pour it themselves.
Yeah. Well, I love that. It's interesting that you got the idea kind of from like having a date night and using that idea of like, hey, to try to make this less awkward, let's have something interactive and fun to do together, whether that's as a new date, first date, second date, or as like a married couple trying to look for something new to do together. And that's actually how I even found this place. Was my husband and I started doing date night, like being very intentional about that in the past like 6 months. And he took me here as a surprise because we alternate weeks with who plans the date. The other one doesn't know, so it's fun. So he picked this place knowing I would love it because we love wine. So that's how I discovered your place. And it's true. I mean, we came here and we get to interact with each other in a different way because we're walking through looking at the taps, trying to decide, ooh, this sounds good. Ooh, try this, try mine. So that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah. So did you get that feeling of it wasn't too intimidating? You tried different wines or anything like that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think
that
so.
was the whole
Now,
of it.
Granted, we love wine, so we certainly know quite a bit about wine. But I can say that I feel like labels are easy to read, and even so, like if someone gets confused, all they have to do is ask for a little help, and you can guide them with like, hey, what are you, do you like white? Do you like bubbles? That kind of thing. So I definitely think it's an easy setup for sure.
Yeah. And if I may ask, the environment, did it feel like a place to go to for a date by any chance? It's definitely
a cozy, warm environment, but at the same time, like what you said earlier, of it not being bougie, like it feels romantic, but also not too stuffy all at the same time. And then you have another area here that we can't see on the camera, but you've got couches with fireplace. So that's like another fun place for like a big group of people to hang out. Maybe that's family or something like that too. So yeah, I like the vibe.
Yeah, because I guess one of the things I did wanted to, I guess, display here was uh, a place where not only can someone come here, I guess, especially during the summertime, with their cargo shorts and a t-shirt and still feel comfortable trying the wine.
Mm-hmm.
But in the evening time, still have the environment where, hey, if you want to get dressed up, you can still get dressed up
Yep.
and not feel awkward coming here.
Exactly. Yep. That's what we did. We dressed up, fun date night, came have some drinks and snack, and then we went to dinner. So it was perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about like your support of St. Pete. Obviously, you chose to be here in St. Pete, and I love this neighborhood of Kenwood. I think it's very walkable for the people that do live here. So I think that's an added benefit too. There's not a lot of things like this over here for this neighborhood to enjoy. You do have some awesome local art that's hanging behind us here and around the room. So just talk about your passion for St. Pete and like what do you love about the most and why you chose to, work with local artists and bands and things like that.
Yeah, so the area of Kenwood has been very, very supportive of this business, of local businesses, as opposed to going to a corporate areas.
Yeah.
So they'll try to keep the money in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing so, I try to do the same thing as well. So as you can tell behind us, we have some local art of a gentleman named Oliver, who is a representative of Blackjack Studios. And every first Friday of the month, we introduce a new local artist to where we'll have an art exhibit in their honor. And we'll have just some live music. That way we'll get a chance for them to sell their art as opposed to at their studios.
Yeah. So you're introducing them to a new audience of people.
Absolutely. A lot of people didn't realize, but for quite some time, a local artist was not allowed to sell their art inside of their house.
Oh, okay.
They actually had to get a studio or whatever the case may be, which was, if they're especially the full-time artist, something they really couldn't afford.
Yeah.
And when that was in effect is when I think a few months ago is when that law did change, though.
Okay.
Especially for the Kenwood area. But during that time is when I started bringing the artist here. And first and foremost that I wanted them to understand was, hey, he's always going to be just a local artist. Mm-hmm. The ones that need to get out and get their names out there in support of them.
Yeah.
Also charge way less of a commission than the normal art studio would charge in favor of them.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised. The vast majority of the artists will say, no, I'll pay the normal commission. I've said, no, do not worry about it. The key is, as much as you're supporting me, I'm going to support you as well, too.
It's a collaboration, a partnership together.
Absolutely. Because just as much as they're struggling, so am I. We need to work as it. But that's always been the number one rule that I always try to keep in here is you have to be a local artist or local performer. Or actually something new, we're trying a local comedian as well, too.
Okay, that'd be fun.
Nights as well,
yeah,
too.
It'd be a good setup for that, too.
A local trivia, I guess, host.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has to be local. As much as I would love to, I guess, go to these nationwide, like, trivia companies or anything like that one, as much as I guess, the local artist or whatever is having struggles, they need help too.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be the goal is try to help them out because there may now be some days that I might need their help.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised. I've actually had some local performers who actually perform for free because they knew that we need to get a crowd in here somehow. And they're like, hey, we got you covered. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because I've helped them out in the past as well too.
Yeah.
So it's been a very, I guess, a good bond between the locals and I guess the study.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually not surprised to hear that because that's when I talk to other local business owners. I mean, I just feel like the community is so rallies around the local businesses and artists because I think it's just such a tight knit community and everyone knows how that's why St. Pete is so special is because of that local support. So I love to hear that that's your focus and that you're experiencing that with the other artists. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing that I did notice was it was a total polar opposite when uh, I was speaking to the small businesses in California.
Mm-hmm.
It was a cutthroat community.
Yeah.
They were not trying to help out.
Yeah.
Them. All the shops here in Kent, at the Kenwood shops, they've actually came up and knocked on the doors and said, "Hey, let me know if I can get you anything."
That's
And
cool.
I always said vice versa as well too.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
So
cool.
this is like two separate worlds. This is much more of a community here than I ever would have guessed.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about like how do you guide people through the, you have all your taps set up, people come in, they have that lost look in their eyes, like what to do next. How do you typically guide people through the experience?
Yeah, that's the number one question when they come in here is how does it work?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them have never experienced this type of, I guess, wine experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very simple. When the customer comes in, we start you off with an open tab based on our credit card or debit card. Totally up to you. And then once we get you an open tab going, we give you a specific key card that will unlock the machines. On top of each machine is a sensor that will allow you to just tap the card on top of the sensor. You'll see your name up on the screen, glass underneath the spout, and you get to choose what size of pouring you would like.
Yeah.
On top of each wine, we'll have I guess, a tasting notes of location and the flavors you should be tasting.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I always tell every customer, try to take the tasting notes with a grain of salt. I've actually had customers come up and say that they don't taste the black cherry or the leather or the tobacco. I was like, that's just based on interpretation.
Yeah.
Based on your own palates.
Yeah.
I always tell them that one. So once they get to experience each and every wine, up to their choosing, they let me know that they're done, close them out. Or if they want to pay cash, we don't have to run the credit card. They can still pay in cash.
Okay.
Totally fine. Then we just close them up, and then they're ready to rock and roll. We also have great selections of charcuterie boards and different snacks to where the foods here is supposed to design to complement the wines.
Yeah, definitely.
Best way to describe it is based on studies, people will not come to a wine bar to have a full meal.
Mm-hmm.
They'll rather go to a restaurant, which is totally fine. But it's very, very rare that they'll come to do a full course meal. So we have very small snacks such as charcuterie boards, hummus plates.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Desserts, so forth and so forth, right through there. Something to where it would just complement each, I guess, each wine.
Yeah.
And each charcuterie board is designed for specific tasting. So if you're predominantly white wines, we have a charcuterie board called the St. Helena, which is designed to be having just with the white wines.
Okay. Cool.
And if you're predominantly red wines, we have one that's called the Sonoma. It's much more of a bolder flavor of cheeses to add on to the tastings.
Okay. I like that.
Also, what we do is we do have dark chocolates as well too. And hopefully I'm not cutting too far ahead of it, but what I always suggest for each customer is to reset their palates when it comes to tasting different wines.
Okay.
So either done by two ways. One, either by tasting a piece of dark chocolate, which you do offer complimentary, just small pieces where you just nibble on it real quick, set the palate, go from one red to another red, something a little more flavorful.
Yeah.
Or for the whites, I always suggest eating some type of water cracker, which we do offer as well too. We're going from one white to just to reset each palate.
Okay.
So by doing so, a lot of people will come up, try some different wines. Like, for example, when a customer says, well, I don't even know where to begin, I will explain the process of it. And so one of the process of trying, let's say for the red wines, I always recommend starting off with a light blend.
Yeah.
Something that is not bold, not full in body, or that one to warm yourself up.
Yeah.
To full ones. You never want to go straight towards, let's say, a Syrah, which is a great full dry body.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I wouldn't even suggest even going to a Cabernet yet. So I would suggest starting off with wouldn't have to be much, maybe 1 or 3 ounces of a light bodied blend. And then once you get done with that one, take a bite of the dark chocolate, then jump over to either Pinot Noir or Cabernet. And then once you're done with that one, another bite, then jump into something a little more full bodied like the Syrah.
Okay. Or
even maybe the Malbec as well too. Or the Sangiovese, which is my personal favorite to finish off with. And
That
so
sounds wonderful with the little bite of chocolate in between. I like that idea.
we do offer those complimentary.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong; these are not like extraordinary pieces of chocolate. It's just your basic, simple dark chocolates, which will reset.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of ways that does help out, especially when it comes to the dark chocolate, when it resets the palate, it actually enhances the flavor of the next one.
Okay. I didn't realize that. That's cool.
So I would suggest doing that one. Especially, and with water crackers, it would actually do the same thing as well.
Okay. Very okay. Got, tricks of the trade here, everybody. So love that. Cool. Well, so I'd love to, kind of like as we're wrapping up our conversation, then, I'm going to show off the taps and have some tastings, and so we can learn more about all the things you have to offer here. But I would love to hear, like, is there any dreams that you have, different phases or anything like that you'd love to share? Just dreams that you have for the future ideas.
Yes, actually. So this is phase one, where it's going to be the pour your own, as you can tell on the wall. Phase two, which is unable to see it through the cameras, is going to be a pour your own beer. Well,
okay.
too.
All right. So adding the beer taps on there.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
And then phase three will be the full liquor license, which turn into a bourbon bar.
Okay.
And then phase four, the ultimate goal at the end of it, is turning into a piano lounge.
Oh, I like that.
That way, it'll get full-on date night.
Yeah.
Right through there. Will this take time? Absolutely, but little off the topic, but I do stay physically fit. That way I can live a long time to make sure that it does happen.
Yeah.
So I do exercise every day to make sure that my heart is healthy, cholesterol is low. That way I can live a full, long, healthy life for this dream to come true.
There you go. Love it.
And then the goal is pass it down from generation to generation. Keep it in the family.
Yeah.
Right through there. Make sure that it stays in the Velazquez name. That's what I call it.
Love it. Awesome. Well, it's cool to hear more about your story. And, my goal with this is always, we're inviting the customers, the community in to learn more about you as a small business so that they can make that connection when they come in. And so hopefully everyone will come check it out. So thank you so much for, spending the time with us to chat. And we are going to, like I said, I'm going to shoot some footage to show off the taps and how cool this place is, and maybe do a couple of tastings. Okay. All right. Talk us through this lovely tasting we have here.
All right. So since it's early on the day, so we make sure that we don't have too much of a tasting. We're only going to do 3 for right now. That way we can get an idea of what I was mentioning before. So what I always recommend to the customer is you always start off with something light. That way it'll build yourself up to something much more fuller. If you jump to the full one, it'll be as if, let's say you have a dessert where it's so rich, you take about 1 or 2 bites and then you're completely done right through there. You want to avoid that type of situation. That way you get to enjoy the wine and a much more, pleasurable experience. So the first one that I want you to try off with is going to be a nice table, I guess the right term is going to be like a table red from this one's from France. It's called Bistrology. It's a nice light-bodied blend consisting of Cab and Zin.
Okay. And twirl and be official wine tasters. Very good. I like that.
Now, I guess the purpose of that one, as you can tell, it's very, very light to drink, very easy. Doesn't have that full acidic flavor at the end of it, to where you can just get it's almost like a warm up. When I was tasting it, it kind of reminded me of just that table red that you have when you go to a French restaurant. Just place on top, right?
Yeah.
That way, it can pretty much be paired with any type of dinner.
Okay.
Rather it be a meatball and pasta, steak dinner, or even some salmon, right? Or everything in between. That definitely will complement that dinner.
Okay.
So I always tell the customer, once they're done, let's just take a bite of a small piece of dark chocolate. Doesn't have to be anything fancy or a huge bite, just something just to reset the taste balance.
Lovely.
And then I always tell the customer, do not take a sip of water afterwards or anything like that. Just let the chocolate sit. And then once you're ready, we start with something a medium body.
Okay.
Now the one I chose for you, this is an Australian Pinot Noir. It's called Farm to Table Pinot Noir.
I love Australian wine.
This one is a medium bodied, but has a hint of smoke at the end of it.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I can definitely get that smoke. A little more, it's definitely more complex than the first one.
Absolutely. Just something to, I guess, step up from a table red to something a little more body, but not a full body, to where it didn't have that, I guess, that acidic flavor afterwards, to where you're just like, whoa, hold on. This is too strong.
Yeah, and even just thinking about the dish that you're eating, if you are pairing it with food, so that the wine doesn't like overpower what you're eating.
Exactly.
Like those would definitely complement very easily.
And this is definitely something to where I always take at least a bottle home a week, where if I was grilling in the backyard or smoking something in the backyard or even in the fire pit, that'd be the perfect wine for that one.
Yeah, there you go.
Just feel out in the wilderness, I guess, from the smoke flavor.
Yeah, love it. Awesome.
Then, once again, you want to reset the palate. Take another bite of the chocolate. Once again, if you do feel the need to consume water, always do it before the chocolate. That way, you can reset. If you drink the water after the chocolate, it kind of defeats the purpose of resetting the palates.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've actually never had anyone really share that technique, so that's good to know. Thank you.
And then we're going to finish off with a Sangiovese. It's not the fullest body, but it's still a heavier body than the Pinot Noir.
Yeah, a little more dry as well.
Now, imagine if you would have jumped up to that on the first one. You'd have been like, whoa, okay, this is a little too strong. You couldn't really appreciate it. Since you warmed up to that one, it was a lot more of an experience, as opposed to, all right, this is just too strong.
Yeah. No, I love that.
So, and this is just the, not, like I said before, not the fullest, driest body, like that one. But if they would have jumped to this one right away, I'm like, okay, that's a little too, I guess, rich.
Yeah.
Where you wouldn't want to try anything more than that one. So that's pretty much it. What we get done. Then finish off with a nice dessert. You can enjoy the rest of your day.
Oh, perfect. Love it. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
My pleasure. I guess to finish up, don't be afraid to come up to either myself, my name is Jeff Velazquez, the owner of the study, as well as my manager, Katie McClure. She's just as knowledgeable as these wines as I am. And anyone who mentions this show and comes on in, we'll give you a special discount. That way I can help you guys out and stuff right through there.
Thank you. Oh, that's a good surprise. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, guys. So you definitely got to come check it out.
Hope to see you guys.